everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Katarina. Happy New Year! I am filming today on December 31st, but this video will go up in few days. I'm really excited to be filming this video. As you can see from the title, I have decided to bring That palette back to my channel for 2025. That palette, which by the way is created by Ember F, and her channel will be linked down below. That palette has always been my favorite eyeshadow padding project, both to watch and to do myself. There is just something in panning a complete palette. I will say though, sometimes I have maybe taken it a little bit too seriously when I have gone for completely emptying eyeshadow palettes, and one year I did a That palette for 2 years in a row with the same palette, with the ABH Modern Renaissance, and while the first year I enjoyed it, the second year was just horrible. This year, however, is going to be completely free from hate panning, so I want to do it in a way that I can still enjoy my looks and enjoy the process, but I still wanted to bring back the challenge because it is my favorite project, and there's not only one but actually 2 eyeshadow palettes that go very well hand in hand that I really want to focus on in 2025 and then get them out of my collection. The palettes that I will be panning are 2 Huda Beauty 9-pan palettes. So I do have the Gold Obsessions and the Toffee Brown Obsessions. I will say right away, these palettes are not complete anymore. I have decluttered some shades from these that I didn't like. The reason that I don't really love Huda Beauty eyeshadows is that the shimmer formula is not necessarily my favorite. Also, you know, with 9-pan palettes, I feel I can be really picky with color stories. Like, it needs to be perfect, and I feel it needs to be thin so that all of the shades go together. And I just don't think it's the case with these palettes necessarily. But I do still like these palettes. I do really like Huda as brand. So I do want to get some use out of these palettes still. And then after 2025 get rid of them. One of the palettes possibly get rid of midway through the year. But we will see about that once the year goes on. In general, I will say the gold palette is more like a pinky peachy palette, not so much of a gold palette, and for me this is more like a first half of the year color story, so I expect myself to focus on this more from January until June, and possibly after that point, if I'm happy with the progress, I'm going to get rid of it. Then the Toffee Brown palette is more of that kind of like bronzy, burnt, orangey type of color story, and that for me then is more a second half of the year color story. Let's take a look into these palettes and talk about my goals. Okay, so here you can see what my palette is looking like. So it doesn't look brand new anymore. I will show you a picture now what the palette looked like when it was new. So I have decluttered 4 eyeshadows from here. I decluttered a couple of golds that were just really yellow bright golds. I just don't like that kind of eyeshadow really. I do like gold, but not quite as yellowy gold. Then here there was a shade that was really like a pink with some gold shift to it, and I don't really like pink eyeshadow. And then I think here was a shade that was like a peachy gold, and I think it was a beautiful shade, but it was really hard and uncomfortable to wear on my lids. Like, I could feel glitter and I really didn't like that feel, so I ended up decluttering that. But I do have 5 shades left, and I have hit pan on 2 of the 5 shades. So let's talk about my goals for the shades that I do have left here. So I want to finish 3 out of the 5 shades. First of all, I do want to finish both of the shimmers, and today I am wearing this shimmer on the top row on my lid. This one is like a light golden taupe shade. It's pretty neutral, I would say. I don't typically enjoy taupe too much because it's really cool color and it can pull a little bit ashy on me. but this one I do like because it's not too cool, it's more neutral. So this one is a really beautiful shade and I'm really loving my look, and this one is just like a one and done look. I don't have any other eyeshadows on my eyes, and that's the way, by the way, that I like to wear eyeshadow these days. There's mainly two looks that I do, either a one and done look that is just really simple and quick to do, but then especially when you do that kind of look with a shimmer, it can still look pretty glam, especially if you do winged eyeliner or false lashes. And another look that I like to do is like that typical eye contour look where you do have something deeper going on in the crease and then a light lit shade. Yeah, I just feel for me less is more with eyeshadow, so because of that I expect the progress that I make be maybe a little bit slower what it has been in the past when I used to use multiple eyeshadows in one look and in general go for a little bit darker looks. So my makeup style has changed, but I don't want that to be in a way of panning. The shimmers in this palette I do want to finish, and then another shade that I want to finish is that lighter matte peach on the top row. That one is pretty close to my skin tone. Last spring, early summer, somewhere around there, I used this eyeshadow so that I did put eyeshadow primer on my lid, and then I just set it with this eyeshadow and called that an eyeshadow look. And I honestly can see myself getting good use out of this shade that way this year also, because it doesn't really show up, especially if I have any tan. Then the two remaining shades, so the dark matte brown and then this kind of like rosy beige, those I want to hit pan on, but my goal is not to finish them. In general, I don't wear really dark eyeshadow these days, so I don't think it would be even realistic for me to finish this dark matte brown. But I may use a shade like this either on my brows, although this one is not my favorite. I do have other eyeshadows in my collection that I may prefer on my brows. But then also I tend to use quite often dark brown eyeshadow as my eyeliner. So I'm sure I can hit pan on this, but I don't want to finish it. And then there is this beige shade, which technically wouldn't be too difficult for me to finish, because if I'm going to do that eye contour look that I talked about, something like this is what I typically do wear on my crease. So it is a little bit darker than my skin tone, but it's not too dark. However, although the depth of this is perfect for me for crease, I'm not really a fan of the tone of this one. So it is kind of like rosy. It's not super cool, which I do like, so that it doesn't pull too much mauve. I feel that kind of shades look little bit like prudes on me, so I don't have that issue with this eyeshadow, but it just looks like I do have some sort of a reaction, like irritated skin. But I still want to hit pan on this. I do have already some wear on this eyeshadow, and during springtime, maybe late winter, like February, I sometimes want to go for a little bit more rosy looks and kind of like romantic vibes. So I can see myself getting enough use out of this shade to hit pan. But this shade is not something I want to finish. But yeah, this is the Gold Obsessions eyeshadow palette, and it will be my focus palette specifically for the first half of the year, although also in the Toffee Brown palette there are shades that I can see myself using. But this palette I think I would like to get out of my collection by midway through the year. Then let's talk about the Toffee Brown Obsessions palette. Here you can see what my palette is looking like currently, and I am again going to show you what the palette looked like when it was brand new. The shades that are gone are shades that I decluttered, so there were 3 mattes. I just like more basic mattes. I feel those pulled a little bit too colorful. And then as you can see, there's some really good progress, especially this one, and this one. And if you did watch my fall and holiday season project pan, you know that I had this palette in that project and I was really focusing on this. So 3 out of the 6 shades I want to finish, and you can probably guess which they are. So on the top row, the light kind of like bronzy coppery shade. That is something that I really focused in my fall and holiday season project pan, as I said. Now I feel I need to take a break of that shade. Maybe once I get tan in the summer I will feel like wearing it. Then the light shimmery gold. This kind of gold I do really like. As I said, I don't like gold that is just super bright and yellow. Also these days I don't like gold that is too dark, but this kind of really light, close to my skin tone gold I love. So this will be an easy finish. And then this matte cream eyeshadow I want to finish also, and I actually think this is probably going to be the first shade gone from this palette. Then in this palette there is one more shade to hit pan on, and it is the darker gold. Really dark golds are not my favorite golds these days. I typically only like to wear them on the outer half of my lid and then a lighter gold on the inner half of my lid, and that is for me a more glam look that I don't do my daily basis. But I'm sure I can hit pan on this shade. I mean, I do have the whole year. The 2 other shades that I have hit pan on, I don't really have goals. I don't know if I'm going to wear them too much or not. So there is the copper. I'm just not that much in love of this kind of shades anymore. Then there is the matte brown. I guess I will get some use out of it still. As I said, these deep matte browns are something that I like to use sometimes on my brows and then quite often as an eyeliner. But realistically, I don't think I could finish it. Or maybe I could finish one of the deep matte browns in both of these palettes, but I don't feel like setting a goal like that. These shades are not unique in any way, shape or form, and they're not that great that I should try to finish them, especially if that is like the last shade that I'm working on and everything else that I want to finish is already gone. These are the Pan That palettes for me for 2025. I'm really excited. Oh, let's talk about my focus shades for January. So I do want to focus on the Golden Taupe shade in this palette. Realistically, I don't think that I can finish it in January. I would love to, but I don't think so. Today I am wearing it all over my lid, and while I do love it today with this festive New Year's Eve look, I think on my everyday basis this one all over the lid might be a little bit too much, because this one has clear glitter there and it's like colorful glitter, so might be a little bit too much for me all over the lid on every day. But I think the way for me to make it work on every day would have that one on the outer half of the lid and then something a little bit more subtle, like just a basic highlighter or something in the inner half of the lid. And I think that way I can get good use out of this shade on my everyday basis in January. But I don't think I can finish it that way. I remember, by the way, Sophia Alexandra was panning this palette one year. The progress she made was really quick. These eyeshadows are small, and especially with the shimmers, they just go quickly. It's kind of like a crumbly formula. So if I wore this the same way that I'm wearing it today, the entire January, maybe it would be gone in a month, but I just don't want to put that sort of pressure for myself and limit myself to only one eyeshadow for a month. So yeah, if the progress is slower, that is okay, but this is going to be a focus shade for me in January. And then also a shade that I know I will be using in January, whether it is a focus shade or not, will be the matte cream in this palette. Oftentimes I just like to put eyeshadow primer on and set it with something, so I could use a face powder or I could use a cream eyeshadow. So I can see myself getting use out of this eyeshadow. I don't think I'm going to finish it in January, but for sure there will be some progress. Okay, but that is everything for this video and everything for my Pan That palette introduction video for 2025. I am really excited to be starting this project again. And yeah, let me know if you are doing Pan That palette. I would love to check out your intro if you're filming videos about it, or if you're not filming videos about it, just let me know what palette you have decided to pan and why. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, Happy New Year for everyone and happy panning for everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye bye.